The train is always an element disturbing. The railway is mysterious. But now, let's get to know. A story, really shocking. The Cursed Train from the lands of the Ebro, that it had to reach the sea and it never arrived. Why? Now you'll know. The Cursed Train of the lands of the Ebro. It was 1942 when the railway company Renfe launched its first train line, the Val de Zafán, which went from Bajo Aragon to the Mediterranean Sea. However, the train never reached the sea. The reason is a mystery. Travelers were unaware that every meter of this railway was impregnated with pain, sacrifice and blood, a consequence of the Battle of the Ebro. Railroad workers were forced to build this track, many of them Republican prisoners of war. Using pure dynamite, they pierced the besaid and pandol saws. There were numerous accidents. Even water fountains manifested themselves, as in the case of the Fountain of the Maiden. When the tracks were installed, there was an explosion inside the mountain, and then the fountain stopped gushing water. It was a negative sign that the railway was not welcome. The final blow of the train misfortune took place in 1968. First, a bridge fell near the town of Zerta, and immediately after, Tunnel 28 collapsed. The railroad workers said that with 15 days and 15 men working, it could have been fixed. But the train was marked, it was cursed. There was no other way out than to close the Val de Zafán line. It was the technical death of the train. But there was still one more misfortune. The train made its last trip, during which a storm broke out. The storm hit the train and lightning struck the last car, catching fire. The screams of terror of the passengers were mixed with the sound of the train and of the storm. On that day, the curse of the line was manifested over the traveler until his last trip, the last day, the last train, and the last car. Since the disappearance of the train, the inhabitants of the lands of the Ebro began to speak of a mysterious apparition, and that it occurred daily. In the evening, when the grey hour took over the landscape, the manifestation of a phantasmagorical figure could be seen, travelling up and down the train tracks. It was the spirit of the train. The physical personification of this spirit was Joan Fabra, a railway romantic. He had grown up surrounded by the smoke of trains and the clinking of tools. A tireless worker, between the blows of the pickaxe and the freezing nights, he discovered a strange spiritual connection with the train track. His fate was sealed. When the train disappeared, Joan Fabra took a wagon and set up his own station under a bridge at the exit of the town of Roquette. Every day he traveled the tracks through the Terre de l'Ebre. He did so in memory of the tragedy that marked the history of this cursed train. Thus he became the spirit of the Val de Zafán railway. Over the years, the story of the cursed train became a legend. The neighbors explained to their children that if they listened carefully, they could hear the sound of the passing train, carrying with it the souls of those who had suffered. Today, the Val de Zafán line has become an ecological greenway. The cyclists and walkers who travel it may not know that each sleeper, each bridge, each tunnel holds stories of sweat, sacrifice, and blood. The mystery continues. What did you think of this creepy story? Well, if you are interested in this and other stories, we offer it to you on this channel. Subscribe because it is free.